Okay. Okay. So this meeting we will be talking about Data Privacy Act, the important features of Republic Act number 10173 or the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So we will be also talking about, before we delve into the acts punishable under this law, we have to understand first and learn what are the rights of the data subject. So when we say data subject, that is the person who owns personal information or data. So the data subject has rights, rights of his or her personal information. So he has the right to be informed, right to object, right to access, and right to correct, and right to erasure or blocking and damages. So uh, anyone can be a data subject. So for example, if uh, if you want to submit your application, if you are applying for a job position or any position, if you want to apply, and you have to submit your data, and your data will be processed. So your data, you have the right of your personal information or your data. uh, we have the rights, you have the rights to be informed, meaning to say that uh, before your data will be processed, dapat i-inform ka muna bago i-process yung data mo, yung personal data. So kailangan merong notice that uh, to inform you that your data will be processed, and you have the right to object, for meaning to say that pwede mong sabihin na ayaw mo nang i-process yung data mo in the system. So you have the right to object. And so once your data is being processed or submitted, you have also the right to access it. Anytime that you want, you can request to access your data, and you have the right to access your data. And if uh, there are errors or mistakes in your data, you can rectify. You have the right to correct any misspelled or wrong information about your personal data. And you can also, you have also the right to delete or erase your data in the system. So these are the rights of the data subject. Right to be informed, meaning to say that before ma-process yung data, kailangan yung data subject ma-inform siya na ipa-process yung data. And yung data subject, pwede niyang i-object, pwede niyang sabihin na ayaw na niya i-process yung data. Or the subject can access anytime the data. For example, you're a student, we have the right to access your personal information regarding your regarding your grade, your in the student portal you can access anytime, or your personal information that is being submitted in the registrar office, you can anytime access it because you have the right to access. And if there are wrong information about your personal information, then you have the right to rectify any wrong or misspelled information about your personal data. And of course, you have the right to delete any information in the system if you want to. Okay, so these are the rights of the data subject. And uh, these are the penalties in violation of the Data Privacy Act. So, uh, so we have here unauthorized processing of the personal information and sensitive personal information. So we have section 52. So unauthorized processing of personal information and sensitive personal information. So meaning it is punished. It is prohibited. It is unlawful to process a personal information or sensitive personal information without without permit or authority to process the personal information. So the penalty of imprisonment ranging from 1 year to 3 years and a fine at less than 500,000 pesos. Okay? Yan. So what punish here is the processing of personal information without or with no without permission. And we have accessing personal information and sensitive personal information due to negligence. So we have here section 53. You when a person access personal information or and sensitive personal information due to negligence, meaning hindi niya sinadya na access lang niya yung personal information, then he or she is liable. Okay? So access to personal information due to negligence. Okay, negligence meaning yung pag na-access niya yung personal information na accidentally na-access niya, that is uh, the person is liable under section 53. And we have improper disposal of personal information and sensitive personal information, meaning to say, how can we say that the personal information is disposed improperly? For example, if the personal information was made or was accessed publicly, so meaning to say that the personal information disposed that the public can access that data. So in that regard, uh, that is improper. So dapat once we dispose of personal information, kailangan hindi siya ma-access ng public. For example, yung proper disposal is yung personal data or information tinapon sa trash can, for example, that uh, the public can access the personal information. So, yun ang improper disposal. So, uh, when we dispose the personal information na pwedeng ma-access ng public kung and then we are liable under this section 53, the improper disposal of personal information and sensitive personal information. So we have the penalty. You can read naman. I sent all the PPTs, screenshot, and also the PPT file, so you can read the penalty and the penalty and fine. However, in your midterm examination, so I did not ask about the penalty and fine. So the questions are more on the acts punish, or how can we say that the act is a violation of section 54, improper disposal. As far as the midterm examination concern, the questions asked regarding data privacy is more on the acts punishable or the acts punished under this law. Okay, and next is the processing of personal information and sensitive personal information for unauthorized purpose. So maybe there are individual that has permission or authority to process personal information. For example, the register, they have the authority to process information. Any agency ca- ha, has the authority to process information. However, uh, the purpose under this section, the processing of personal information was processed or is being processed for an authorized purpose. So maybe the person has the authority to process. However, the processing of personal information and sensitive personal information is for an authorized purpose, meaning the purpose of which it is being processed is unauthorized. So the person is liable under Section 55. Okay, the processing of personal information and sensitive personal information for unauthorized purposes. Okay, so what punish here is not the processing of personal information, but the processing of which is unauthorized purpose. Okay? Unauthorized yung pag-process. Okay? So let's move. We have unauthorized access or intentional breach. So here, as you can see, yung pag-access ng personal information is due to negligence, meaning the person access the information accidentally. So that's how this section punish an act that you accidentally access the data. However, in here in unauthorized access or intentional breach, the access of personal information is with intention. Okay. So in section 56, unauthorized access or intentional breach, meaning the person has in bad faith or access the personal information or personal sensitive information. So ang kanina, yung accessing personal information due to negligence, kahit pa in good faith, you you access the data without of course accidentally, then you are liable. Here is you access the data with you with the intention to of course access the data. So meaning meron kang intention to access. You are liable under section 56 of this law. Next, we have concealment of security breaches involving sensitive personal information. So this is a crime by omission. It is not crime by act. It is by omission. So we know that uh, yeah, omission. You did not you you do nothing about the security breaches. Okay, so you have the knowledge about security breaches. However, you did not divulge to the public, to the proper authority, then you are liable under Section 57, the concealment of security breaches involving sensitive personal information. So when the person has knowledge, is aware that there is a security breaches, but failed to report it to the proper authority, then the person is liable under Section 57, the concealment of security breaches involving sensitive personal information. Okay? That is omission, crime by omission. And we have malicious disclosure. So any person, personal information controller, personal information processor, or any of its official employees or agents who with malice or in bad faith discloses unwarranted or false information relative to any personal information or sensitive personal information obtained by him or her shall be subject to imprisonment ranging from 1 year to 6 months to 5 months and fine not less than etc. So the usually the person here is a personal information controller or personal information processor. Those person who process information. So once they disclose or they share to public with malice, okay, or any unwarranted or false information regarding the personal information or sensitive personal information, they are liable under Section 58 under this law. Okay? Yan. So usually ang nagko-commit dito ay personal information controller or personal information processor. They are the one who is tasked to process personal information or and sensitive personal information. And we have here an authorized disclosure. So what differentiate the what differs from malicious disclosure is the disclosure may uh, is with malice or false information. Whereas in Section 59, the unauthorized disclosure, the person is not authorized to disclose information. So yan. So any personal information controller or personal information processor or any of its official employees or agents who discloses to a third party personal information not covered by the immediate preceding section without the consent of the data subject shall be punishable under Section 59, the unauthorized disclosure. Meaning, the disclosure is without permission of the data subject. Okay, so unauthorized disclosure. And we have combination or series of acts. So meaning to say that in this section, any person is liable under this section when one and or two or more uh, punishable acts has been committed by the perpetrator. So that's combination or series of acts. Okay? So combination or series of acts. So yan. So medyo mataas yung penalty and also the fine. Okay? And we have the extent of liability, large-scale offense committed by public officer, institution. So extent of liability. So if the offender is a corporation, partnership, or any juridical person, the penalty shall be imposed upon the responsible person, as the case may be, who participated in or by their gross negligence allowed the commission of the crime where applicable. The court may also suspend or revoke any of its rights. So yeah. And we have the large scale when the offender or the person responsible for the offense is a public officer or as defined in the Administrative Code of 1987. So pag public officer, yeah, large scale pala no. The maximum penalty in the corresponding scale of penalties provided for the preceding offenses shall be imposed when the personal data of at least 100 person are harmed or affected or involved then the result of any of the above mentioned offenses. So laging large scale siya pag yung victim is at least 100 persons. So yung victim large scale. And yan, offense committed by public officer. And also we have restitution. So any complaint filed by data subject shall be subject to any payment of filing fees unless a data subject is an indigent. So we have pursuant to the exercise of its quasi-judicial function, the Commission shall award indemnity to an aggrieved party on the basis of provisions of the New Civil Code. So indemnity meaning babayaran yung aggrieved party or victim of the of the violation of the Data Privacy Act. Okay? So that's all for the Data Privacy Act.